Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast. From New Orleans, I've got Andre, and his number one skill for clients is helping upscale businesses overcome marketing overwhelm and frustration. He provides strategic clarity, guidance, and effective marketing plans. And he's got a really interesting take on marketing agencies sometimes get a bad rap, but the question is, are marketing agencies bad or are the clients bad? So we're going to talk about that and your ideal clients. Really happy to have him on and into the discussion. So Andre, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself, your experience, and we will dive into the convo.
Sure. So I've been around the marketing world pretty much my whole life. For the last 18 years, I ran a marketing agency, and we served primarily what I would local business and what I call upscale clients. So there's people that sold an expensive product or service or something that was a discretionary purchase. And last year, I wound up walking away from the agency to move more into kind of the marketing, coaching, consulting realm and share what I've learned on a bigger scale. Because what I found was when you run an agency, you end up having this really great conversation with one client, and then that client is the only one that benefits from it. And you end up having the same conversations over and over again. And so after 18 years, I really have taken what I've learned and just wanted to share that on a bigger level, because instead of it just being like a one-on-one conversation every time with somebody.
Yeah. And we'll dive right into the question is marketing agencies. And one thing I found is just everybody is like reaching out and DMs and all of this and, pitching these expensive things and you never can tell if it's true or not. And a lot of times it fails. So how do you succeed when working with a marketing agency?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the real success for clients when they come in and they're going to hire a marketing agency and have success is that they have to go into the campaign with some understanding of what's going to happen. So what are we going to get? What are we going to see from this? And what are the expectations are going to be? And that requires for a lot of people, them maybe to do some work that they're not comfortable with, or to go and learn about something they're not comfortable with. You wouldn't go just drop off your car to a mechanic and have the mechanic say, hey, we need $5,000 worth of repairs, and not ask questions about what kind of repairs, what is it? And then at that point, maybe you would call a friend or somebody that knows something about it and get educated before you were going to spend a lot of money on something. So it's the same kind of thing. And I think that's where I have found the biggest difference between success and failure with clients after running an agency is that if I took two clients in the same industry and I said, we've run campaigns in your industry before we know your industry. And that client comes in and they're stressed and overwhelmed and they're fried mentally. Their campaigns are generally speaking not going to perform as well as clients that come in that are focused, prepared, patient, and feeling good about what's happening. And it's just, I've seen it where we have the same campaigns, two different things, and there's this sort of energetic change that happens with clients, that the ones that are in that state of being empowered, feeling empowered, they're everything just seems to function differently with them. And those are the clients usually, if you go on a marketing agency website and read their case study, it's usually going to be a client like that.
Yeah, interesting. And so we'll talk about this idea is with clients, and we were talking about this. Is it you were mentioning sometimes it's not the marketing agency, but it's the bad client. Talk about that dichotomy in that relationship.
Yeah. So what I found is there really are people come into a marketing agency, and I think there's two ways of clients coming into marketing agencies. One way is that they come in and treat the marketing agency like a magician. And they're like, okay, we've got this business problem. This is what we need to solve. And here's what we're going to do. And we expect you guys to come up with all the ideas, be brilliant, do all this, and we'll see you in a month. And that approach is quite difficult for anybody to succeed, because these days with marketing requires a level, especially on the digital side, it requires a level of authenticity that the business owners or the business drivers need to contribute. And so in lieu of them contributing that authenticity, the marketing winds up sounding very generic or not like the company at all. It doesn't reflect really what's good, what's great about that company. And so on the other hand, you have clients that come in and say, here's our brand guide and here's our key message points. Or they might tell you, this is what we have so far, but we don't like it. And we feel like it doesn't reflect who we are as a company or what we're trying to communicate to people. And that's really where, if you have that kind of a dialogue, you'll have a completely different outcome with what goes on. And so I think that kind of why that break off is where you see, like running an agency for 20 years, you have some clients that get on this path of hands off. I'm paying you. What am I paying for? All this kind of stuff. And it never really comes back to where it needs to be. And what we found ironically is that even like we'll go look at campaigns and say, these numbers look pretty good to us. It looks like you're getting leads. They go, the leads are crap. They're slow quality. We're not getting anything from this. And even in those cases, you're like, okay, we can't really win. There's not there. And the other clients are the opposite response. They'll be like, oh, we're seeing some differences here and there. This is great. Can we also work on that? And that's where I think it's really on the client's part, how you open the conversation to take ownership of the relationship. And that's, you wouldn't go to your accountant or your CPA or your lawyer and say, here it is, just figure it out. But you have to have that collaboration. And the more collaboration you have, the better the outcome is going to be, because I found most business owners are successful for a reason. And so they want to take what they're successful at and running that business and bring it into the marketing campaign, not just walk in with their hands off and just say, I'm paying you guys, you deal with it. And that's really, I think, where the mistake that customers make. And I think there are some bozos that run marketing agencies. I've run into them, but it's not the majority of reasons where I've seen the clients get unhappy or don't get the results they want from marketing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and then because I was really recently talking with another guest earlier today, and we were talking about your client avatar and getting very specific. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Just in once I started implementing that last year, I was just like, it's just the draining, the low level clients, the ones that just suck your time and energy, just drifted away when you focus on who your ideal client is. The other question I have is, when should an entrepreneur hire an agency versus doing things in-house?
That's a great question. And to your point, though, about the avatar thing, again, like when you look at what happens with that, if I just hand you a form as an agency and ask you to fill it out, maybe you take the time to fill it out appropriately, or maybe you don't. And that's where I think, as a business owner, taking that time to really invest, because the quality of what's going to come out of that is the quality of the input that you make into describing that avatar. That could be a 3-page document, or it could be 2 paragraphs. And I've gotten back both. So that's a really great example of you taking the time to do that, and you've seen the results of it and the benefit from it. So that's great. In terms of when to hire agencies and when to hire help, I personally think that the sooner somebody does it, the better. And what I have found is, oftentimes early on in a business, or maybe before the business is at a level that they want it to be, there's budget concerns and money and cash flow concerns. But what winds up happening is, if you don't bring somebody in to handle marketing, or some parts of the marketing, ultimately that's going to fall on the owner to do it themselves. And so then you have the time versus money conundrum, where it's like, you're going to spend your time working on this, or are you going to hire somebody to do that? And then the other variable we found is that a lot of times when owners will try and hire an in-house marketing person, a lot of times they don't really know, because marketing is not their strong suit. Maybe they don't know how to write a job description, or how to hold that person accountable, or how to just simply provide feedback to that person, or give them the framework that they need to be successful, like they would maybe in like their core trade, whatever that is. And so I always think it's an interesting discussion. Have you ever read the book or listened to Gay Hendricks talk about zone of genius?
I've heard of the concept zone of genius. Gay Hendricks, I might have come across that book a couple years ago, but care to elaborate on it for the audience?
Yeah. So the concept is it's a powerful concept, but it's really simple. And that is that we function as people. We function at our best when we are doing what we really excel at. And so anything that we can do with our schedules and our structure of our life to make sure that we are spending the majority of our time in our zone of genius has the highest impact on our growth, whether that's financially, personally, or whatever. And so to answer the question about when should you hire somebody, if a business owner is in a position where they're doing multiple things and working on things that are not in their zone of genius, then you could look at that as very much costing them money, because if they spent that 30% more time working where they're strongest, that would lift the rest of it and take away any concerns they have, or issues of that sort of thing. And so I always come back to that. If you're not working in your zone of genius, then you should find a way to get the help that you need to get out of those tasks and to let somebody else drive those things so that you can focus on what you're great at. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah. The
The book,
other,
the book is called The Big Leap, by the way, if anybody's interested in reading or podcast. It's The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And it changed, my wife and I did it together about 2 years ago. It really changed our lives and how we just think about our day-to-day task and what we're doing strategy-wise.
interesting. Yeah. So the next question I have for you is this just for business owners, what's the best single piece of advice when it comes to their marketing?
The best single piece of advice that I have is that you have to mentally take ownership of it. That doesn't mean you have to mentally do it, but what you can't do is abdicate your authority or power over the marketing decisions and the marketing budget, the marketing strategy to somebody else just because it's too complicated and I'm not a marketing person. I know you come from the medical field. I've had doctor clients and people in the medical field, and they're like, I'm a whatever. And it's not an excuse. Like when you open a business, you're not a lawyer, you're not an accountant, maybe you're not a contractor, like you built a building. Like there's all these things that you have to do with running a business, and marketing is no different. And so I think that clients have to take those extra time to be knowledgeable about marketing, to have intelligent conversations, to be able to set expectations, to understand budgeting. They have to be able to do those things and participate, because if they don't, then they're at the mercy of a marketing agency. And that may or may not be a good thing. You might get a good one, you might not. But I've seen people waste a year of their lives not knowing if they got a good one or not. And it's a disaster. That could really cripple a business.
Yeah. And what's the biggest mistake businesses make when it comes to marketing?
Easily is this, the distraction level. I personally think that people today are mentally fried in general. People are very overwhelmed, very stressed. I don't know a single American that tells me like they got an easy day or a light day. Everybody's slammed, busy to the max. And so what winds up happening is people show up for a marketing meeting, and a marketing meeting is by nature a creative endeavor, right? Marketing is creating, it's all this. And you show up to a marketing meeting, you're 5 minutes late, you're stressed about your financial report, you got to talk to this employee, you got this going on, you got a mad customer. Like you're in no frame of mind to really talk about marketing, but yet people barge in the meetings and they're like, okay, what do you got for me? And it's no, it doesn't work like that. Like we need to like talk and get on the same page and see what's working and get some collaboration. And so taking time to be present and fully participate in what you're doing, I think is the biggest, it's the mistake that people make is they don't do that. They show up stressed, in a rush, making demands, and then not really fully understanding or participating. And yet they're paying money for it. They're paying thousands of dollars for that. And they're just not doing it. And so I think it's the easiest thing to fix. And from a complication standpoint, but it's also the hardest, just from the standpoint of everybody's busy, everybody's distracted, everybody's stressed these days.
Yeah. I know we have a few minutes remaining, and the kind of talking about is if business owners wanted to build a simple but effective marketing strategy, how would they do that?
One way they could do it is I've got a free course that I built on just this, and it's a strategy course. And it's really not about the mechanics of do this or do that. It's really about the thought process. And so what I've learned after almost 20 years is that I really am trying to teach people how to think about their marketing. And that way, if they can wrap their brains around these concepts and what to do next, then they can actually execute a plan. And so we actually created a free strategy course because we wanted to give people a taste of that, how it works, as part of just our offerings. That's available on our site if somebody wants to try that course out. But that's where I think you have to start there. And in that course, we talk about things like mindset, being present. We talk about taking inventory of what you have, understanding what your assets are, and how to decide, okay, company A might have this, they can start here. Well, I'm here, so I need to start at appropriate level. And then we get into specifics in terms of the strategies, the actual strategies, and how to look at them, and whether to hire an agency and that sort of stuff. So it's really designed to help you get your brain around all that and get a overall high level strategy in place.
Interesting. How can people find out more about you and connect with you and reach out to you?
Yeah, easy. On our website, tried to keep it simple, andresavoie.com, first name, last name. And you'll see on there the free course. And then we've got some other stuff as well where we help on the marketing side. And we work with a lot of business coaches who want to bring their clients in and get some help with that. So we have a lot of business coaches that we work with as well.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much for coming on, and keep up the great work.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Have a good day.